and welcome tonight to Draw and Discuss the world of NFTs with Nino, Mariano and Melissa Noble. And I'm Rachel Davey. I'm a lecturer on BA Illustration and Visual Media. And we're really excited tonight to have two amazing practitioners with us to explore this world. So I'm going to introduce the session. So we're really lucky to have Nino Mariano and Melissa Noble here tonight. They're here to talk about their creative practices with a particular focus on NFTs. Now, if you're sat there thinking, what is an NFT? Please don't worry. Not so long ago, I had the very same question. It was an acronym that kept popping up in conversations with multiple people, and I didn't know what it was at the time, but through those conversations, it began to open up new ideas surrounding digital art and selling work and the future of creative practices as well. And since then, I've read both positive and negative articles, opinions, social media posts on the subject, and still have many questions, which is why we thought it would be very interesting to have this session tonight. So this week on Illustration and Visual Media, we're exploring the intersection between technology and imaginary worlds, which is why we want to invite people who have direct experience with NFTs to share their knowledge and help us understand the pros and cons on the potential future of our creative practices. How it's going to run is that Nino and Melissa will each give a talk about their work, letting us know about the things that they create, the things they make, the people they collaborate with. And then we'll then move into some pre-prepared questions that interrogate NFTs a bit further. And then we're going to open it up to all of you, the people that have joined us tonight, to ask any questions that you might have. And just to let you know, to do so, we're going to ask you to raise your hand and then turn on your mic and camera if you wish to ask that question. And before we get started, I just wanted to say a big thank you to Melissa and Nino for giving their time tonight, and a huge thank you for all of you for coming and to listen, to learn, and I'm sure be very inspired. So before we get into it, I just wanted to talk about this idea of drawing while listening into these conversations. So personally, I believe that drawing is a brilliantly useful thing, a practical tool for communicating important information, a processing tool to understand and explore new ideas. It can be a form of meditation and a way of seeing with understanding. Drawing combines many functions together, some subconscious, intuitive and emotional, others are highly rational and analytical. So within this session, you are encouraged to draw as you're listening. I'm going to be doing it too. I've got my paper ready. So iPads, paper, pens, whatever you have near to you. So what you see, what you hear, what interests you and what confuses you, note it all down. Don't feel the need to sit still. Allow yourself to be active and intuitive. Lean into your skills as image makers and creatives. And then at the end of the session, we're going to share these sketches with each other on a Padlet that I've made. And I'll share the link with you all in the chat box later on. So that is enough from me, I think. I will pass over to Nino now. Nino, would you like to introduce yourself and share your work?
Yeah, sure. Shall I share the document?
Yeah, I can do that for you.
Yeah, okay. Is it showing? Yeah. All right. Thank you, Rachel, for the introduction. It's really nice, and thank you for having me here. So my name's Nino Mariano. My kind of brand is the Cultured Caveman, and what I do is I tell brand stories with comics. And yeah, so my practice, basically the project that I've been working on since I've graduated is I started my own agency called Corporate Comics. And basically what we do is we communicate brands, either their stories, their products, or things that they want to talk to their internal teams and things like that. So it's all communications with comics basically, and like that's the main focus that I have at the moment in like in the professional world. I also like draw every day. I draw for myself. I do some Instagram lives and stuff, just like doodling away and stuff. So drawing is a big inherent part of my being and my practice and what I love to do. And the way I kind of got into NFTs was with my business partner, and he's quite into the crypto world and he's got a lot of connections in that area. So I'm kind of coming at the NFTs like much from like a design, like a artist and illustrator who doesn't really know that much about technology and like these things, and I've been taught it by like the people that I've been working with. So I think this might be quite a good opportunity for you to see my experience, because I'm probably like a couple of months ago I was in the same space as maybe some of you who don't know anything about it. So yeah, so I'll just share my experience and basically what I've been working on. But before that, within my company, I do have an alter ego, and he's called the Iron Chin. And because my company is based around comics, and one of our services is we make avatars, like characters for brands and for people within the brands. And this is my avatar, the Iron Chin. So he's my superhero. And this is quite relevant to what I'm doing in the kind of NFT space, because I'm working on like a couple of different projects, and one of them is very focused around avatars and how we can use the technology of the blockchain to um, use avatars with the technology of the blockchain and really like utilize it in a way that empowers people basically. And I will talk a little bit about that, but I can't mention too much because the project's still in the works. Um, so yeah, so this is just some like artwork and that I've been making with the NFTs. And here I've got like, this is my co-founder on the left, Ali Flash, and this is his avatar. And then we've got like my company avatar, and then some other team members, and a kind of avatar from another project that I'm working on, kind of building a universe that they kind of live within. And with this project, like the avatar project that we're doing, it's kind of like, how do we take a service that we use for like companies and like for ourselves as well, and like utilize, like I said, the blockchain technology. And one of the ways we're doing that is like, um, so basically within crypto and within the blockchain, you've got like these, it's kind of like its own, you're becoming your own bank in a sense when you like within the crypto world, because it's not overseen by a bigger entity and it's kind of like decentralized. So the whole concept of that. And with the avatars, we're thinking like, there's a lot of avatar projects out there where people just make these fun characters, which is absolutely fine. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to like make a way that the avatar actually becomes useful and almost, I think the easiest way to describe it is kind of like reverse cookies, in the sense of like the avatar keeps your information but uses it for you, rather than giving the information away to all these platforms that you go to or websites that you go to and stuff like that. So that's kind of the main project around my company that I'm working on at the moment. And it's also going to have like hopefully a game kind of utilized within it. And I think something that, at least for me, one of like the big things about NFTs is the usability and the way you can use, not only just make artwork and sell it, but the way you can actually have this thing evolve and grow as soon as it goes out into the blockchain. And like, it doesn't just stop as a piece of artwork. You can like kind of develop it and use it in different ways. So that's kind of one of the things that I want to touch upon later when we come to the questions. And yeah, so that's kind of the first project that I'm working on. And yeah, here's some of the artwork. I'm just going to stop for a second. Is there any questions at this point, or am I kind of maybe jumping into things too quickly? I don't know if some of it doesn't make sense, maybe.
I think it's okay for now, and just to let people know, there are the questions. The first one is, what is an NFT and what does it stand for? So maybe you could just explain that a little bit now, and we can get into it more later as well.
Yeah, I think that might be helpful, because I'm kind of giving all these terms and things, and yeah. So NFT, it stands for like a non-fungible token, and basically it means it's like a one of one, and it's not like kind of interchangeable for another object or another item, but it's like a digital version of that. So rather than being like a £10 note that can be exchanged for another £10 note, it's like a trading card, for example, that can't, like, do you know what I mean? The value fluctuates depending on the supply and demand, and if it's rare, and if people want it and that sort of stuff. So and that is kind of like certified on the blockchain, which is like a large kind of I guess platform or entity that kind of documents all, like, securities and like it sorry it's like authorizes that it is the true thing, it is the real original entity of that trading card or that piece of artwork. Or so I hope I didn't confuse anyone anymore with that explanation. But so I'm just going to jump into another project that I'm working on. So this one, I actually started this project as a university project, and it's kind of evolved a little bit. And again, it's still in the works, and it's still like I'm still preparing and developing kind of ways to make it usable and make it kind of a longer term thing, because that's the way I see NFTs. But basically, at its core, it's going to be a comic with this character, Inspector Tan. He's like a orangutan, and he's inspecting the like the things that are happening to his habitat and to the rainforest. And basically, the comic itself is going to be raising awareness about the problems that are happening to orangutans' habitats, and it's going to be minted and sold on the first charity-focused NFT platform. And some of the sales will go to me for making it, but a large percentage will be going towards the charity that's involved and the platform to kind of kind of make a good impact with the NFT, rather than like I know there's a lot of stuff and a lot of people hear about like the negative impacts of the gas costs of the Ethereum chain and all that sort of stuff, but this is trying to do the opposite, and it's also on a sustainable blockchain. So basically, it's a carbon neutral, or I think even carbon negative blockchain. So like the costs of like selling stuff on there aren't harming the environment. So yeah, so that's that project. I do have quite a few projects, so do stop me if I'm going on too long. But so I've got kind of one more project here that I'm working on. Again, I did an internship at this company, and they're a company based in Amsterdam, and they do a lot of stuff with like well, they're not a company, sorry, they're a social and environmental enterprise, and their main focus is on like sustaining the environment. They've got a couple of projects, like a food waste project, a green energy project, and so on. And this is kind of a similar concept, and it's going to be minted on the same platform as the last one, the charity-led platform, and basically the same concept of a comic that raises awareness about what this company are doing and what they're trying to achieve, and their kind of like goal as an enterprise. And then again, raising money through the NFTs in the long run, so they can actually fund some of the amazing work that they do. So they're the kind of 3 projects that I'm working on at the moment with NFTs. None of them are live yet, and I'll talk about this later, but I think there's like 4 key aspects that go into making like a successful NFT project. And for me, like, I want to kind of develop it for the long term and make something that's going to be sustainable and make something that's going to like really grow as the project evolves. And like a lot of people like mint artwork on the blockchain and like just sell it and make a lot of money from it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just I'm taking a different approach, and we can talk about that more if you have more questions about that later. So sorry, talking a bit. Okay, so now I've got a few slides about some projects that I've done as like a company. So these are being commissioned for other companies. So this is with corporate comics. So the first one's Omnia DeFi, and they got a whole project that is based around cryptocurrency and based around NFTs. And the way they're using NFTs is really interesting, and maybe it's a little bit complex, but I can share the comic with anyone that explains what they do. So that was one of the things that we did for them, is we made a comic that explains what their project is and what the project does. And then alongside that, one of the main elements of any kind of good project in the crypto space or in the NFT space is like community. And if you see on like the left side on the bottom here, I made with my team, I made a sticker pack for Telegram, and basically they're building a community within Telegram, and we designed them these little kind of avatars that represent their brand, and then created a load of expressions and stickers for their community to get involved with. And like the feedback's been really good, and it's kind of building some kind of like representative of their brand within the community, and like getting people to kind of feel a bit more involved with the project. And then also, obviously, we put those avatars within a comic. It's a couple of pages, and it kind of explains their project and their offering as a company. And what they do is they're kind of attaching NFTs to real world assets. So basically what you can do, like the easiest way to explain this is, if you have a car, like a really nice old vintage car, say, and you want the money and you need the money, so you think you have to sell it, but you want to keep the car. So what they do is they tokenize the car. And basically what that means is they turn the car into an NFT, and they sell a percentage of the car. So you keep the ownership of the actual physical thing, but you're selling like royalties to the car almost, and people can invest in that. And the more the car like goes up in value because it's an old vintage car, the more those NFT assets will be go up in value, and then people invest in it basically. So it's another way of investing, and you can do that for anything. Like, so they're doing it for like housing, they're doing it for artwork, they're doing it for a load of different stuff, like real world artwork rather than digital artwork and stuff like that. So that's quite an interesting project. Another thing that I worked on.
Sorry, the chat is off, I think.
The chat, sorry?
The chat is off, so we can't like ask you questions.
You cannot be chatting on this, I'm afraid. You're going to have to wait at the end to do questions, and then that's the only way that you can interact with the speakers. I'm afraid no chat on this talk today.
I think feel free to raise your hand and then and ask a question that way, though. If you've got something to ask at a certain point, that's fine. If there's something that Nino says,
I'm totally open to taking questions. So
yeah.
if
Did
anyone wants to,
you have a question?
Yeah, I was basically wondering whether that's sustainable to tokenize assets in the real world. Like, if that's gonna be possible, what's the actual effect in the economy? Because I understand selling artwork that is digital, but if it has two economic values, then why would anyone buy that? I didn't get that.
Okay, so I actually don't know a lot of the technical stuff on this one because this is a whole project that I'm not working on. I just did the kind of artwork for it. But basically, I do know a little bit about it. So basically, the whole company is set up um, to kind of do this, like create these NFTs that tokenize real world assets, and it's kind of making value within the asset itself without having to sell it. So basically, on the blockchain, you're minting like an NFT of the car that shows that you have a share, say, within the car, right? It's almost like having shares within the stock market or something like that. And there's a lot of securities and like documentation and stuff that they have to go through. So the company's set up with like a lot of different like kind of teams that work on this. So they're basically working on things like a security that sets like that makes sure that this is linked to the real world asset and all these like kind of things that you need to actually go to that stage. Um, and then kind of more like directly to your question, I guess. So you're asking like if it has kind of two values. So the blockchain's like creating a lot of value in general, right? So there's a lot of things on there where I guess you can say like there's kind of money coming from nowhere, right? And this is just another way to like increase the value of or like make a new stream of revenue or a new stream of like I guess add to the economy if that makes sense. So um, they're also doing it to land and stuff in like in kind of poorer countries. So they're tokenizing land. So the people that have a lot of land in these poor countries can tokenize it and sell a percentage of it and get access to wealth where they wouldn't actually have access to wealth. So it's kind of I guess taking the power away from the government within that area and kind of giving it more to the people. So I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry, I'm not actually
Yeah,
100% like
thank you very much.
educated on this topic. Oh, thank you. Okay, so if there's no more questions on that one, I'll keep going. So here, basically, this is kind of a project, avatar-based project, and I've just kind of showed you in this layout some of like the process of like the artistic process that I was going through when designing the character and like some of the influences. And this is an actual person that kind of there's a group in London called the Crypto Curry Club, and they kind of commissioned us to make some kind of like avatar heroes, basically representing some of the people in the Crypto Curry Club. And the Crypto Curry Club are basically like a lot of people in London in the crypto space that meet and talk about crypto over a curry. Um, so yeah, so this is one of the people in that project, and I like this is some of the references and some of the initial designs and like development, and yeah, like moving on to like here's the final image of the character, and then we've kind of developed a world that that character lives in, and we did like 4 or 5 of these. So I just showed you the development of one. Sorry. Okay. And then this is another project. There's a platform that basically is a little bit like kind of a social media platform for crypto news, and they're called the Capital. And yeah, basically we just did kind of concept illustration, kind of with their launch, and it was just showing like this rocket with their logo, and this is some of the development, so you can see some of the the processes, like the different kind of concept angles for the shot, and then the kind of development of the rocket itself, and incorporating like a real world kind of building or whatever. Like this is something I like to do when I'm working, is like take inspiration from like real things that don't actually link to the thing that I'm doing, but then rephrasing it in a new way so it looks like, do you know what I mean? It informs the new kind of design that I'm making with some kind of like anchor, if that makes sense. So I did hear of there's like a concept artist that does a lot of futuristic like buildings and cityscapes, and he starts off with like shampoo bottles and things from his like bathroom as like the kind of the initial form, and then develops it from there. So, and then these are actually the first NFTs I made, and these were for there's a blockchain called Zaliqua, and they've got their own currency, and they got quite a lot of stuff on Zaliqua, and they've actually started their own NFT platform as well. And before kind of NFTs were big, I did this project for them, and they actually did it as a Twitter campaign where they gave away the NFTs, and then the people that like entered the draw on Twitter and like shared and liked and like followed and all that sort of stuff, when if they got like a card, they could trade it for an item in their gift store, so like a hat or a t-shirt or something like that. So it's quite interesting that like this was actually like before NFTs blew up and got really big, and like, well, I say really big, like within the space they've kind of like expanded now. So so yeah, so like they weren't actually trading it for money, but they were trading it for real world objects. So it's kind of the concept there, but like at the early stages, I guess. So yeah, and yeah, that's kind of it for the projects that I've been working on in the crypto space and with NFTs and stuff like that. So yeah, any questions? Anything? I'm happy to answer. If not, we can maybe move on to.
Thanks. I think.
Yeah. So
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say I had a lot to say, and I know we got a lot to get through. So
That's okay. All fascinating stuff. And yeah, as I say, if people do have questions, feel free to raise your hand and ask them, because I think that was a really interesting question there. So we'll go to Melissa now to have a bit of a background about your experience with NFTs. I'll share your file for you, and then you can work your way through it, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Perfect.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa, so I'll just give you a little bit of background information on me. I became a full-time illustrator during the first lockdown with the aim to make my entire income online so that I could work from anywhere I wanted. The aim was to travel, but COVID put a bit of a stop to that. I was already doing commissions when I left my day job. And luckily I got to work on some really lovely projects for herbalists and homesteads. I was drawing a lot of plants and sharing them on my Instagram and personal projects anyway, which got me found those clients in that niche for me. So here's a few examples of my work. All of my work is done digitally on an iPad using Procreate. I didn't really want to be working for clients all of the time, so I started looking for other ways that I could earn digitally and started creating clip art and Procreate stamps to sell on Etsy and Creative Market. I found this to be a really good little side hustle and reasonably passive income once the illustrations had been created. But that's a little background on how my career started in illustration. And and I'll move on to how I got into NFTs. So I heard about NFTs last Christmas, and as I was already selling digital art online on Etsy and stuff, I thought it was a bit of a no-brainer to look into it. A few months later, I minted my first NFT, which is this illustration of Aretio, a Celtic goddess of transformation. After she sold, I minted a few more illustrations of goddesses, which you can see here. It took a little bit longer for these to sell. I was selling them on Foundation, which is an invite-only platform for NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain. And I wasn't really putting in much time into the advertising of them, but they managed to sell in August, September this year. And that gave me a big push to look into NFTs in more depth and give them a real shot. So I got in contact with the people who had purchased my NFTs. And one of these happened to be World of Women. The artist is called Yam. And after speaking to Yam for a bit, she invited me to their Discord space. And when I was in their Discord space, I kind of realized how powerful NFTs can be and saw what they were doing. At the time, I didn't really know anything about the NFT space or the projects that were going on. But in Discord, I met loads of amazing artists and collectors and saw what their community was doing. For example, World of Women is supporting loads of female-based charities, and they seek out female artists to support, which is just amazing. Another project that I love is Boss Beauties, who are focused on educating people in technology and bringing women into male-dominated spaces such as development and coding. I've also recently found a project called Safe Space that isn't fully launched yet, but they're using the profits from their project to help home the homeless, which is great. Like, there's so many charity working projects in this space. But obviously that's like, sorry, but it's also being used to fund like technological advances, which is great. And for me, and hopefully you guys as well, it's allowing artists to work for themselves rather than having to create work for other people. And you can create whatever you like, which is a very powerful thing for an artist, I think. My project, Bad Tattoos, started when I entered an art contest held by World of Women and created an illustration that's very different from my usual style, but I ended up loving it, which is the illustration on screen now. I decided to create an entire collection based around, well, inspired by this piece, and came up with this kind of theme of badasses with their lives tattooed on them. So this collection began as 50 portraits of inspirational people with illustrations of their lives on them to look like tattoos. This collection sold out in 2 days, which was amazing for me, absolutely blew me away. I hadn't had this sort of success with my art before, so it was really overwhelming. And since my first release, I have been developing Bad Tattoos and plan to make it a much bigger project. There's more portraits to come. There's going to be another release at the start of December. However, I'm also working on an interactive map of BTAT's Town, which will be like the main website for the project, and the portrait collection will be held in the art gallery on the top left. But there'll also be like loads of other fun things like a pet shop and tattoo parlor, radio station, lots of things for people to interact with. There's also going to be different characters that live in / run the town. And if members of the community hold one of these NFTs of one of the characters, it will give them privileges depending on the character that they hold. So you can either get a percentage of profits or input into the art that we buy, in deciding what art is bought with the profits from the project, or input into what charities we support, and so on. I will also be releasing backstories and lore about these characters. There's so much room in this environment for storytelling, and for creatives, it's a perfect place for you to like build your own world. Eventually, I'm hoping for Bad Tattoos to enter the metaverse, and have a town that you can explore, which seems like a really big dream right now. But this space, I feel like anything can happen. There's so many possibilities. Yeah, I would also like to add that, you know, just don't be put off NFTs if you don't feel like you're that good with technology. I am definitely not a tech person, and I've managed to work it all out just using YouTube tutorials. And uploading your work and minting your work is a lot easier than you think. If anyone would like help on any of this or have any questions, you're more than welcome to contact me via my Twitter. It's probably the best place to contact me, which is Bad Tattoos NFT. If you don't already use Twitter and you're planning on creating NFTs, I would really recommend you get one, because Twitter and Discord are amazing places to meet other people in the community. I'd like to mention that I'm part of a group called Crypto Lady Gang, which is created by Sam the Mystic, that is trying to get more women into the NFT space, as only 5% of NFT sales are from female projects. So if you'd like to be part of that and join us, there's loads of resources for beginners there as well. Give me a message and I will send you some links to join our Discord. Yeah, thank you very much for listening.
Amazing. Thank you, Melissa. Really, really, really interesting there. We'll go to the questions now, I think, and I'm going to ask both yourself and Nino to, I guess, respond to them. You've seen them before, but also to people that are listening as well, if you've got anything to share. Oh, perfect. Karen, yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
This is a question for Melissa. I know you said that if someone buys the NFT characters, that they have like rights to change things, or have a say in your work, and I wondered how you actually feel about perhaps someone coming in and changing what's been your vision that you've created from the very beginning. Do you think that could ever get quite tiresome if it's an ongoing thing, or do you just relish in it? You like that kind of?
So I love input from my community anyway. So I've got a Discord and I ask and do votes and stuff in there about kind of the future of where Bad Tattoos is going to go. I think it's really important to take on the opinions of the people that are buying the work, because they're buying into this project with you. But the say that they're going to receive with these items, there's going to be the charity-led one. It'll be that they get to put forward charities, and then they'll be like, those will then be voted on by the entire community. So it's not going to be that they have like unrivaled say. Like, it will be very much still a community decision, but they get to like input and put things forward a lot more than other people if they hold certain NFTs. Hopefully that answers that well.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Karen. Okay, I'll just go to here, and again, pop in at any point. So just to get back to the basics then, really, Nino, I know you touched upon this in your talk, but what is an NFT? What does it stand for? How do they work, and where do they originate from? Melissa, are you okay to?
Yeah, I'm definitely coming from full artist with no developer or tech background on this.
That's like, I think it's good to hear from the people, like the artists that are working in it, because I imagine a lot of our students will be thinking about being in that position as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I guess in simple terms, I see it as NFTs are any type of digital media, imagery, music, video, like VR files, etc. Anything that can be uploaded onto these blockchains and stored, which then they're like public information. So this means there's a public digital record of when this file was uploaded. And every time it is transferred or sold, that is on record for everyone to see. And the great thing for us as artists is when you're creating these works, you can put into like the blockchain information, not really sure, like choose to have a percentage back if it gets resold. So for example, if I sold a piece of art for £100 and then someone else later, I became really famous and someone else decided to then sell it on for £1,000, I will get 10% of that back. So I will still earn £100 again off that, which, you know, for artists is great because you're still holding value from your art being resold.
Thank you. Thank
Can
you.
I just add to that?
Please, yeah.
Yeah, and with that resale thing, like it's indefinitely, right? So it's forever. So you can like every time your piece of work is sold, you will get a percentage of that sale if you put it into the contract at the beginning. So when you mint it.
Thank you. Yeah, Shavaz.
Hi, this is a question for either one of you, because I'm already into like the crypto scene, and like I've been working with some people to like start creating the some NFTs for myself. But I was wondering, like, because of Ethereum's gas fees being so high, what are like alternative places where I could list my pieces, and also how easy it's to like get traction on your pieces, because obviously the big thing with the NFTs is having the community behind it to back it and really like create a noise about it.
Thank you, Shavaz. Nino or Melissa? I mean, both of you will have great insights on that, sure.
I can, in regards to the chain, I know Wax. It's like it's a platform. I don't know what chain it's on exactly, but I know Wax is quite sustainable in terms of like the cost of like it's not on Ethereum. So I don't know any others apart from the charity focused one that I'm kind of collaborating with. That's called Aniseed, and most of those projects are focused towards like raising money for charity. So, and yeah, the chain that they're on isn't sorry, it is environmental friendly. So and then like making something successful or like making a project successful, like you said, is I think the number one thing is community. Having a community of people that already know about it, that are your fans as a creator or as like a project, like their projects. Sorry, they're fans of the project because you said you're working with some people. That's the number one thing from what I know. And then like the other things would probably be like the technology or the innovation of the NFT itself. So whether it's kind of like got some really interesting usability or utility, or so for example, what Melissa's doing is she's giving the people that hold the NFT like a say within the rest of the project, and that just gets people like involved in the project even more, and it gives people a reason to keep hold of the NFT. So if you have like a community of people that want your NFTs, but there's only 10 of them, and those 10 people that get them have a reason to hold the NFT, the value is going to go up. And then also like I guess so like you can do utility in a lot of different ways. Like people can speak with the artist one-on-one, or they can have, like, do you know what I mean? Like people have used it for tickets to like talks, or to, do you know what I mean? Like passes to get into like different types of clubs or things like that. So I think utility, number one's obviously community utility, and then probably like just kind of marketing and branding. So like the best platforms I think are Twitter or Reddit, and like the best platforms for community are probably Discord and Telegram within the crypto space. But yeah, it's kind of like anything, in the sense of like you just need to brand it really well. So like people kind of love the brand of the project, and then like share it with the world. So like post and make a lot of noise around it. So
I'd just like to add a couple of platforms to that you can sell on. There's Hen is quite a popular one. It's had a little bit of trouble recently. I think the guy who started it has stepped down, but other developers have taken over. And that's run off the off Tezos, so it's a lot better. Tezo blockchain, so it's a lot better for the environment. It's seen as a clean NFT platform. And there's also Solana, which runs off Sol, which is also a lot better than Ethereum for the environment as well. Trying to think if I know any others. I think they're the main ones of people that are in my like little bubble that seem to be using. And on building advertisement for your project, I would say the best way is honestly just making friends. Like the more people I have connected with in the space, is the more people are sharing my project for me, constantly tagging me in things and posting about my project, and I in turn do that back for them, and it grows your audience a lot faster. So get into some spaces, and especially the talking spaces on Twitter are great for meeting people and make friends in the NFT world, really.
there's another thing that I just thought about as well, after you said that, if I can go.
Please.
So is anyone on Clubhouse? There's a lot of like rooms where people just talk about NFTs and talk about different projects, and there's some like really good rooms where people like are kind of giving out free information, like kind of some really like people that have made like really successful projects and stuff. So I would definitely say go on Clubhouse and start talking to people. The same on Twitter, and I think this is something with social media in general, like whether you're doing NFTs or just trying to build your own brand or your own career or anything, is like just like making friends and like being social, because like a lot of people forget the social part on social media is like going out there and actually making connections with the people, with your audience, and like chatting with them. Or something I'm doing at the moment is doing like kind of doodle, like live doodles on Instagram, where like with a bunch of other people, and we just invite people up and sketch and have a bit of fun and have like a nice conversation. So I think in general, like just making connections and friends in the space will do you a world of good, just being like a person, because we're all people and we all connect with other people. So, and you're going to want to support a project if you like the people that are in it. So yeah.
Thank you. Thanks both, and thank you for the question as well.
Thank you for answering the question.
Great. I'll move on to the next one. Actually, there's two that I think you've touched on it one quite a lot, so I'll bring it together with another one. So it's, what role do they play in your illustrative/visual practice? Have you created, sold, collected, and what makes them collectible? I think you've both touched on that, but it'd be really nice to hear a little bit more. And I think this one leads into that quite nicely as well, is what formats can you experiment with? Moving, static, multiples, or are there any specific aesthetics that are regularly seen? I guess myself, hearing more about it, this idea of community and branding your own world within it. Sounds really, really interesting. So yeah.
So for the first bit, I create and I collect. So I think it's quite important to do both, especially for your own project. Like, I think it's great if you've done well, if you're selling your work, to give back to the NFT space by buying other people's work. Personally, when I'm collecting stuff, I'm just collecting because I like the art. I'm not collecting in a savvy way to flip it and make more money, which a lot of people in the space are doing. What was the other bit of the question? What makes things collectible? I think obviously there's the art side, but a lot of people are buying into the actual project, so it's almost like a fashion statement depending on what projects you're involved in. For example, if you've got a World of Women avatar in your profile pic, it says that you're supporting diversity in the space, and like giving back to real world charities and stuff. If you've got a Bored Ape, you're basically saying I'm flashy and loaded. So it's very much like you're choosing how you appear to your digital space and world by buying into particular projects.
Thank you, Melissa. Nino, do you want to add to that?
I think you covered everything, like with everything we said before. Well, I mean, not everything, because there's always more things to kind of like understand and learn about this. But for me, I think like that was a really good answer. Yeah, like in terms of like myself, I haven't actually started, like I haven't gone live with any of my projects yet. So so I haven't actually like traded any yet. So they're still in the works. And in terms of collecting, like what Melissa said, is like it's kind of you're supporting these different projects, right? So because a lot of people like show the NFTs on their profile picture or something like that, you're kind of like saying that you're part of that community. And I think that's a really, like, coming back to that community thing, like I can't push it enough. I think that's like the main thing there is like if you like kind of support that community, like you feel part of it, and then it helps the project grow. So like it's all about, I think the main thing is about community within this space. So
thank you.
Yeah, I would like to say as well, I think it's the nicest community, like most supportive artistic community I've been in. Everyone is so kind and so supportive, and is so happy to help you out if you're stuck on something. So it is a really lovely space to be in.
That sounds really positive. Thank you. Because we've got a hand up from Mariana. Do you have a question, Mariana?
Yes. How would you simply explain the process of beginning to sell artwork as NFTs? Like, where can anyone start selling, and how do you do it?
So I think choosing a platform is probably a good place to start, because that will lead on to actually setting up your wallet and everything. So depending on the type of art that you're hoping to sell, I think is depending on the platforms you would like to look at. My collection, because it was a larger collection, and they were all kind of similar, I decided to sell on OpenSea, which is is one of the biggest platforms. But I think a lot of work can get lost in OpenSea a bit, and it is quite a bit more expensive. You have to pay, it'll be around £100, but it varies to start on there. But once you've paid that, there's no minting fee. But then there's other platforms such as Hen, which it has a lot more one-off pieces of artwork, and is a lot cheaper to get started on. So you could get started there for probably, well, definitely £20, probably £10 to buy into Tezos. But once you've found what platform you would like to sell on, I would say then you need to set up your crypto wallet, which is really easy process. There's loads of YouTube tutorials. So you'd set that up based on the blockchain that you are selling on. So either OpenSea would be Ethereum, Hen would be Tezos. And then it's simply a process of uploading your work and pressing the mint button. So it's really not as hard as it might seem. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well, but there's loads of YouTube tutorials, and anyone is welcome to message me on Twitter if they would like some help as well.
Can I just add? I think like something to be aware of is kind of like really understanding crypto a little bit before you just start jumping into NFTs, and kind of like when you make a wallet and like you get these secure keys and stuff, and just like make sure that you keep them secure, because the whole point of crypto is like it's like a push only system, right? So like if you make a wrong transaction, or if you do a wrong thing, like, do you know what I mean, send it to the wrong wallet or the wrong address, there's no going back, because like there's no kind of overseeing company that will go like, okay, well, that was the wrong transaction, you get refunded, or you like whatever. So like you just have to kind of just be aware and like make sure that you understand what you're doing, in the sense of like it's fairly simple, like Melissa said, and I'm not saying this to like scare anyone or anything, but like it's basically just like understanding, okay, like the wallet is almost like the secure key that you get is like your bank details, and like you shouldn't share them with anyone. And just something to be like aware of is like if you post a hashtag with NFT or whatever, you're probably going to get some kind of like spam messages and all this sort of stuff. And like don't ever give anyone your secure keys, and just like be very wary of like these kind of messages and stuff. So it's just something to like know about, but like they're not harmful if you don't click on them, or you don't like respond and like kind of go into them. So yeah, just be careful of who you're like, of those messages and those things, and like not giving away those secure keys and stuff. And you should be fine. Like it's very simple to make a wallet and then mint, and there's some really friendly platforms, and even like some platforms, like on the buying end, people can buy straight with like with a Visa card or something like that. So
Thanks, Nina. That's a really good point. I think great. Thank you. I hope that answered your question, Mariana.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So one of the last questions that I have was about the environmental impacts. And you've touched on this in passing, but it was something that came up in conversation with a few people, is how can it be environmentally friendly, and are there any environmentally friendly platforms that you know of?
Yeah, so I think we definitely do need to consider the environmental impact of cryptocurrency. But the issue with this is more with cryptocurrency as a whole rather than just NFTs. Bitcoin is the main contributor to the environmental impact, which Bitcoin isn't actually associated with NFTs. Ethereum is the second worst, but it's more the daily trading of the cryptocurrency as by itself than the NFT part of it. I think it was a while ago when I looked up the statistics, but I think about 6 months ago, I think NFTs were about 5% of the issue with Ethereum. So it's still not great. It's definitely, still an issue that needs to be addressed. But there's certain things that platforms have started bringing in to try it and make it a bit better, such as lazy minting, which is now on OpenSea, which is like made it so it's 2 times or 3 times less carbon footprint for the site. This is done by when an NFT is created, it's not actually minted until it's purchased. So that way there's not loads of work being uploaded and minted and those transactions going through when people aren't going to buy it. So this way it's only the work that's actually being purchased that is having an effect on the environment. But there are also loads of like clean platforms that are popping up. So as I spoke about before, Hen is one of the ones that I know most about, but there's also, I think, NFT Showroom, I think's a clean NFT platform, and Atomic, which is like a trading cards platform as well, which is a clean platform. But there are a lot more out there. It just needs a bit of research.
Thank you, Melissa. That's, yeah, I guess interesting that it goes beyond NFTs and it's sort of a much larger issue as a whole. And thank you for those suggestions, as well as platforms people can check out and do their research on. Great. Nino. Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. Go on, Nino. You go, and then we'll go to Karen after that.
I was just going to add to the platforms, Wax. Again, I think that's like mostly trading cards, but that one's a decent platform. And then, like I said, the charity focused one, Aniseed, as well. So I know those two, and I think was it? Sorry, I can't remember the other one. I'll get back to you on that one. I'll write it down and send it in the chat sometime.
Okay, fab. Thanks, Nino. Karen.
Hi. So I haven't heard of NFTs before this, so I might be the only person that's thinking this, but I'm going to ask anyway. So I don't understand why there would be an environmental impact on a piece of art that gets sold. I'm trying to work it out, but I can't figure out what the impact is. Can someone explain that to me?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the way the blockchain's set up is that it's set up on like it's a load of different computers that kind of servers that kind of make up the blockchain. And basically what happens is when there's a lot of use, these computers are in use and there's a lot of electricity and heat and stuff produced. So the transactions of like the digital assets are basically using a lot of fuel in a sense. I don't know if you want to add to that, Melissa.
Yeah, I guess it's because I think it's not all blockchains set up in this way, but they compete to or like get the transaction. So the transaction will go to like multiple computers, I believe, and they'll be competing. So it's a waste of energy because only one of those will actually complete it. So all of those other ones that are competing to finish that transaction first, they're using up energy which they necessarily don't need to be using, which is why it's like a bit of a maybe silly way of it being set up, but it is how it works.
Okay, that makes complete sense. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Thank you for asking that as well. I think no silly questions here because it was great. Nino, what were you saying?
I was going to say I do know that like there are things being done and like there's projects happening that are trying to like save energy on these like servers and stuff, like take the heat and reuse the heat that's generated and all that sort of stuff. So I guess it's like anything. Do you know what I mean? Like how much does it cost to take a £10 note out of the cash machine like in the wall? Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like energy that's gone into cutting down the tree, printing the money and running the, do you know what I mean, the ATM and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of relative, I guess, but it's not to say that like we shouldn't be doing things about it and like, but I think you got to kind of like figure out the pros and the cons of the project that you're doing. And I think coming back to NFTs in general, like when you do a project and start a project, you got to think about, okay, what are the things, the pros that are going to come from this, and what are the cons, and what, like, do you know what I mean? Like if there's more loss and more like harm to the environment than there is good, like maybe you need to pick a different platform or think of a project that's actually going to help the environment and like kind of start to help fix these problems, raise awareness about it or anything like that. So I think it's definitely something to consider when you're actually going into making a project. And I think it's something to research about, because if someone does come to you, which might happen, and it probably will happen, is like when you make NFTs, I know there's a lot of bad press about them. So people are going to be like, oh, I don't want to support you because you're doing NFTs and that sort of stuff. And you go, okay, well, like the pros of this project are this and the cons of this project are this. And I think that the pros outweigh the cons, and that's why I did this project. So you can like kind of give a informed response to anyone that comes with like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this or that sort of stuff. So
yeah, and just to add to that, like these platforms are allowing people to raise like large sums of money at like that they wouldn't be able to raise otherwise. And from majority of the projects that I'm seeing that are doing well in that sense, the amount of money that they are giving back to charities is incredible. Like I haven't actually seen a project that isn't giving a percentage of their earnings to charities. So I think it is, although, there are environmental impacts, there's a lot of money that's going then towards doing good in the actual world for like every organization there is.
And just in general as well, like the blockchain, like the concept of blockchain itself is like decentralizing wealth and finance, and I guess power in that sense of like giving kind of more power to the people. And like I think the whole concept of blockchain and NFTs, like NFTs are giving power to the creators, and like so there's a lot of good stuff there, I think. So yeah, I think it's good to research it and not just dismiss it. Sorry, there's a hand raised.
Yes, Shabazz.
Yeah, so I've like my introduction to crypto and like the NFT scene is through like investing into cryptos like beginning of this year, and I feel like the NFTs have blown up during a bull market where everything's like on the run and everything's pushing up. So I feel like the NFT scene right now is like a bubble where it's like there's a lot of hype around it right now, but then a lot of these projects are happening that don't have like a lot of fundamentals, which are like they don't like give any use case to maybe helping the metaverse, or just like general use cases won't last through the bear market. But what's your opinion on that?
Yeah. So I think like in any space or in any project, right? There's a lot of projects that don't kind of have those fundamentals, as you said, and they're probably going to fall away. And then there's the projects that kind of like are kind of what I was discussing before, and what Melissa was saying about like community and things like, do you know what I mean? Making it sustainable, having usability and all this sort of stuff. Like, I think that stuff is for the long run, in my personal opinion. I'm not like a financial advisor or anything, so I'm not saying like I'm not going to like say to invest in anything, but like I see the technology being able to be used in the long run in a lot of good ways, and I feel like it will ride out like you said, we're in a bull run at the moment in crypto. For anyone that doesn't know what that means, is basically like the whole of crypto is doing well. I can't explain it that well because I don't know the terminology, but like there's kind of dips and things within the crypto economy, and we're kind of the overall consensus is going up at the moment. So I guess there's going to be a lot of money and a lot of things doing well, and NFTs are doing well at the moment as well. So I think like anything, there will be projects that flop, and but the projects that are kind of like building these communities and they've got utility and they've got all these kind of like use cases that do have like long-term uses, I think those things will stay. And I think they're going to be here and they're maybe going to shape the future of like the way we create. So, but that's my own opinion.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of money grabbing projects out there too, which you need to be like aware of, but those will, like you said, like fall away. And the ones that have like good developers and like good roadmaps in place of, you know, things that they want to achieve, I think they're gonna last in the long run because their community is gonna stick with them.
Thank you. And thank you for the question, Shabazz. That was, yeah, really interesting. So there's just one more that I have here, which is very simply, Nino and Melissa, is there any other interesting, useful information that you think people should be aware of, whether that be positive or negative? And then we'll open it up to some more questions as well from everyone.
Do you want to go? Or
yeah, no, you can go if you like. Don't mind.
I just want to like kind of come back to some of the negative things that we covered, as in, like I said before, like there is a lot of like spam and a lot of people trying to scam you out of your secure keys and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's just to be very aware of it. It's not a problem if like you don't give it away and you don't like respond to these things and stuff like that. But I think you just need to be aware that there is scams in this space, and there's scams in any space, right? And people are trying to make money off of artists as well. Like, just kind of, I would suggest like kind of building a team, in the sense of like if you're making the artwork, you want someone. If you want to do a project that has utility and stuff, you want to have some kind of people that understand the technological side, but at the same time you want to be aware that they're just not using you for your creativity and for your ideas and your artwork. So you've got to like find people that you trust, and kind of like just be aware of scammers and people that are just trying to take money and all that sort of stuff. So I would push that a lot, and just like kind of be wary. And something else is like kind of look into crypto a bit and understand it, and make sure that you know kind of what you're getting into, because crypto is the underlying thing for NFTs. So that's it from a negative point of view. I don't know if you had anything on that.
Yeah, I think if any of you are looking to get into generative projects, if you like to do some research and decide that's something you want to do, and you decide to get a developer to do that, I'd be really careful about the developer you get to do that, because I've heard of things where they've coded into the minting process where the funds basically are going to their wallet instead of yours. So I think, yeah, you need, if you are hiring a developer or having a developer work with you as a teammate, you need to make sure it's someone that you have built some sort of relationship with, and you feel like you can trust them. I think that's like, yeah, I guess just you need to be careful as well with scams and stuff. But Crypto Lady Gang that I mentioned earlier, we've got a section on our Discord that is like an awareness section of scams that has loads of information about, you know, how to keep your crypto wallet safe, and how to make sure that you are not ever clicking any links that could be dangerous or anything like that.
I'm guessing I can't join the Crypto Lady Gang.
I mean, I feel like we should have it open, because we've got, it's more of a collective of artists that we've got a private bit in it. So I think men are welcome in the normal section, but we've got a private part of the Discord that's just the ladies.
Okay, I'd love to join, so it'd be great if you could send me the link to that on the Discord.
No problem.
Yeah, and and I think on like a more positive side, I think what we touched upon before is like there are some really like amazing communities out there and groups of people that are doing really great stuff. And yeah, I think it's a really nice space in the sense of like some of the things that people are like working towards. The kind of concept of NFTs and crypto in general is really nice, and there's some really cool projects, nice things going on, and it, like, do you know what I mean? Make your stamp in the metaverse and like start to kind of take ownership of your artwork, and I think there's like a lot of positives, So.
Yeah, there's way more positives than negatives. It's an amazing space. It allows you to take so much control over your own artwork, and just meet so many amazing people. So it's definitely something I think I've been telling all artists that I'm friends with to at least have a look into it, see if it's something they'd be interested in, because it's just an amazing community and has loads of possibilities. It's so new still, so I feel like there's getting in this early, I think there'll be loads of possibilities in the future.
Amazing. Thank you both so much. Oh, Nino, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, maybe we can discuss a few things around like the usability. I don't know if that would be helpful to
Of
anyone.
course,
Like,
yeah.
I know there's like quite a few examples of how people have been like doing usability and stuff like that. So I'll just like kind of say a couple of the things. So maybe get your notepad out or something if you're listening. But so like the first one, I guess, is like what Melissa was saying about is like people can have a say in the project. And just touching before that, actually, on a project, I think it's good to have like rather than just minting a single image, which is absolutely fine. Like, do you know what I mean? If that's what you want to do, but I feel like building some kind of project around the artwork or building a longer term project is a good idea, because then you can build a community around it. And then and then going on to usability, so there's like people can have a say in the project. They might be able to vote on things. They might be able to give you suggestions. Like the creators of the project, the people that are running the project, so they have a bit more like authority, I guess, or maybe a better word than authority, but they have a bit more like say within the project. And then the next thing would be like having a kind of pass. So whether that's a pass to speak with the artist or look at the, I don't know, like the artist's process, or you could even have it to have like a one-on-one session, just ask the artist questions, or even if there's a few people that have got the NFT, you can make like a mini community, almost like a Patreon, I guess, like in the sense of that concept of giving them different things that they can do and more communication with you and that sort of stuff. There's another way of using, like if someone holds an NFT and say it's from your first run of NFTs, so you make a series of 10, say, and 10 people hold them. If they keep hold of them on your next NFT, you can just like send them the next drop that you do. So say you make a thing of 20 of your next NFT, those first 10 people that hold it, they instantly just get your NFT, and then you sell the other 10 or give them away or whatever. So I think that's really like important, because it gives them a reason to hold on to it, so the value goes up. And then like there is like so many more things that we can go into, and like I don't know if Melissa has some kind of examples and things, but there is
I was just
more.
thinking then with the airdropping thing, and also if you're trying to kind of get your project to sell out a bit quicker, if you're like releasing, a good way of doing that is by saying if you're a holder by a certain date, then you get a free airdrop of an art piece, because that way people that might be considering like waiting a little bit to buy it or whatever and seeing the project go, they're more likely to buy it straight away. Yeah, which is a lot of people are doing a lot with airdrops, and it's nice because it's people just sharing like free art with everyone, which is, you know, it's a great tool to use for your community.
For sure. And then I think that's really important as well. Like you said, like it's almost giving that early adopter, right? Like giving them, the early adopters, a kind of extra piece of love because they've invested in you from the very beginning, or that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
and then there is some more like usability stuff. So I don't know if you've heard of like crypto kitties. I think these were one of the first, but that you can actually plug them into like a game, if I'm correct, and people were actually like building games around the NFTs, and you can like do you know what I mean? They can be used beyond just your kind of profile picture, or like you can actually like game with them, or like they can actually grow after the minting. I can't remember what the project was, but there was one project where once you have the NFT, I think it actually like over time it changed, and like there's projects like that which are like really
Mutant
interesting.
Apes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
one of them. Yeah.
So they're dynamic NFTs. If you want to search for other projects of them, they're called dynamic NFTs.
Yeah. So I think that's like really interesting, and that's like one thing that is kind of like a usability in the sense of like it kind of continues to grow after you've bought it, or like you can continue to develop after the initial sale, or and then it can go up in value and stuff like that. So yeah, and there's a lot of things like in the future as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of ways that you can use this technology to actually continue to like make new ways of using them or developing them once they're minted. So I think that's something to keep in mind.
Another like quite cool thing that people are doing in NFTs at the moment is like almost breeding. So you can put two NFTs together and it will create a new NFT. So you burn two that you already have, which is kind of like gets rid of them, and it will create a new NFT.
So that's like burning them, right? And creating a new thing, if that's correct.
Yeah.
Is that the term, burning? Yeah. Cool. I had a list somewhere, but I lost it, so I think I went through all of it. So.
Thank you. It's great to hear how passionate, and I guess me as someone who's very much a beginner and novice in this, it's really, really interesting to hear from both of you, and to have the questions from everyone else as well who's really into it. And I think it'd been really nice to just open it up again to everyone here, and to see if anyone does have any more questions that they're wanting to ask. If so, you can just raise your hand and turn on your mic and do so. Right, so yeah, Shabazz, please.
Okay, sorry, last question. As like talks of like Facebook turning into Meta, and like there's a lot more speculation about the metaverse becoming a real thing in the future, would you say that like 3D artists will become in more demand as like people look for more realism within like the 3D realm, and like creating avatars and stuff like that?
Do you want to go first, Melissa?
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to become a massive industry. There's definitely going to need a lot of 3D artists with all of these projects that are being built. I mean, it was already becoming a lot bigger with all the game development that's happening, but I think metaverses are likely to become like a huge part of our future. So it's 3D art is probably a great thing for people to go into right now.
So I totally agree. I think there's gonna, yeah, like you said, like there's gonna be people building these universes. So 3D art is totally gonna like there's gonna be a bigger need for the artists. But I wouldn't be something that's really interesting within the metaverse already. So there's been an NFT exhibition within the metaverse, or like there like exhibitions maybe. I don't know how many there's been, but basically, so with an NFT, it can only be in one place at one time. So because it's non-fungible, so like basically they've created within this world like a kind of exhibition space that you put your 2D or animated artwork on the wall, and it's kind of like a exhibition within that 3D space that you can explore with your VR headset and or even on your screen within the metaverse or whatever. So I feel like it won't kill like 2D artwork in that sense. Like I feel like drawing and stuff as ever is going to be like really popular, and it's going to even enhance it as well. So I think both, like depending on what you like to do and what you love to do and what you want to pursue, I think go 3D, go 2D. I think like just don't be put off of 2D if you really love it and you don't want to learn 3D. So that was just something to add. But
yeah, I would also say if you're not actually into like digital art at all, you're more traditional art, don't get put off NFTs because of that either. Like I've seen quite a few artists that do like traditional painting, and they're photographing their work and turning it into NFTs, and it's doing extremely well. Those artists are more on like focus platforms like Foundation, which is more like one-off art pieces, and it's more kind of not necessarily traditional art, but it's less collections and it's more like one-off art pieces. So yeah, don't be put off just because if you're not creating digital art and you're creating more traditional styles as well.
Sorry, this is sparks something else that I really want that I want to talk about is like the combination of digital and physical NFTs. So like for example, there's been like albums that are released where you get the actual album, but then you get an NFT attached with that, so you can scan the code and then you have a digital asset as well as the physical asset, and vice versa. Like there's all these different things that with artwork. I think there was a really famous British artist, I can't remember who it was exactly, but they made a series of like these dotted papers, like kind of artwork pieces, and they minted the same amount of as they made in physical, and if they sold on the blockchain, he would destroy the actual real piece, and vice versa. If it sold as a real thing, he would burn the NFT. So I can't remember who it was. I was watching it on a documentary or something. But so there's really interesting ways of actually merging physical with digital and kind of blending that as a project. So
Great. Thank you. Thanks both. So it's just gone 7 now, and I'm aware that people might be needing to go get some food and have their dinner. But just before that, does anyone have any final questions that they're wanting to ask Nino and Melissa? So what I've done is in the chat box, I've just put a link to Padlet. So if anyone has been making any notes or doing any drawings throughout this session, it would be really nice for you to share it there, just so it's a place that we can come back to and sort of remind ourselves about the amazing talk and discussions that we've had today. It's been so interesting, and I just want to thank Melissa and Nino for being so generous with your time and with your knowledge and information. And also a huge thank you to everyone for being so involved throughout the session as well. It felt really great to be a part of and very inspiring. Let me just stop sharing this so we can see people. So yeah, I think Nino, Melissa, are there any final things you'd like to add before we say goodbye for the evening?
No, just thanks so much for having me. It's been really nice to chat with you all.
And you, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd like to add that please reach out to me if you have any more questions. I'm always open. Just like reach out to me on Instagram or anywhere that you can find me. It's Nino Mariano everywhere. So like if you just want to like chat or ask any questions, I'm open. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for your time, everyone. And I hope it was helpful. I'm still a novice myself in this. I feel that like there's, do you know what I mean? You open one door and there's another door to open and more to learn. So I'm still learning myself. So please, like anything that I said, like don't take it like, do you know what I mean? Take it with a pinch of salt in the sense of like, I feel like you should always do your own research and figure these things out. But I hope this was helpful and having an artist perspective on this space that like I'm not that I'm not that technological in the sense of or tech savvy, should I say? So yeah, so it's part of my brand, the creative, the cultured caveman. So yeah. So.
It's been fascinating. Thank you so much. Well, yeah, I think we'll let everyone go after some food and to enjoy their evenings. But it's been really great having you both and having everyone here. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening, everybody. And yeah, hopefully we'll all cross paths in the community that we're going to build.
Thanks, Rachel, as well.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Moderating.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.